Alrighty, so just gonna take this time to go over some fundamentals of AP Misfortune. Um, just gonna upload this video, just teaching a friend. But if this ends up helping anybody else, cool. But I'm not gonna like address this to a large audience. I'm literally just making this tutorial for a friend. And anytime I try and get someone into the game, I try and start them in support. I feel like it's almost like a backseat role. So you're able to learn the fundamentals of the game kind of by like witnessing, and you're still doing a couple of things, but it's not as big of a daunting task as maybe laning or jungling. So that's why I recommend if you're trying to get anybody into the game, get them into support and don't have them play something like Blitzcrank or Nautilus. I mean, I think AP Misfortune is a decent-ish beginner support pick just due to the simplicity of her kit. I mean, yeah, her passive and everything, but that's not really applicable to the AP Misfortune playstyle. It's literally just landing E, which is probably one of the hardest untargeted abilities to miss in the game. So I'm just gonna boot into this practice tool real quick. Just kind of walk through kind of what you should do. So once you get into a game, you'll be hit with this. This can be your teammates and the enemies on that side. So of course you're gonna want to play Misfortune, and down here at the bottom, next to so you have like your runes. I'm not gonna explain too heavy. Basically, it's like different stats. So there's all sorts of different ones. I'm not gonna explain them all because you will learn these as you play the game. It will eventually come to you. You'll understand what they all mean. Even if you're like, no way in hell that's gonna happen, it'll happen if you continue to play. So I'm not gonna get into all this and explain it now. It's not really applicable. I will just say you click on this icon next to it. So you have your runes here. You have like 3 pages. You have the edit. So we're not going to edit it. You're going to go to the rune presets, which is this little like glyph looking icon. So click on that and you'll be presented with some options. Um, you're going to choose the blue comet, little meteor looking thing, arcane comet. So you can read right there. Just whenever you damage them with an ability, it just throws a like damaging comet at them. And so that's going to be good for this playstyle because you're kind of like a poke mage. It's kind of the playstyle of Misfortune. When I say like AP Misfortune, AP just means ability power. I would recommend watching the League tutorial I made a while ago. Um, it just covers more of the fundamentals, like some terminology and everything I may say in this video. I'll try and, act like no one's seen it, but a more in-depth video of the core fundamentals, like the map, the roles, and everything, is going to be in the my last video. I think it was like a year ago or something. I never followed up because I didn't really need to. Um, but yeah, loading into the game, I would say some of the biggest issues I see beginners making is not buying at the start of the game. They don't realize they're supposed to buy a starter item depending on their role. And I went over starter items in that last video too, so feel free to check it out. So let me close out that professor. So you're going to be presented with this because Misfortune is typically an AD carry. So the AP playstyle, the one we're going for as a support, is not as common. So it's going to recommend you items as if you're playing the attack damage carry in bot lane. That's who you're supporting, by the way. But since you're not, you're going to go to the search bar here. You can navigate to all items, or let me close out of the search bar, sorry. You can go to all items, and it'll probably have you on the marksman items, because that's typically how she's played. But if you just go over to the support tab, and this item, Spell Thief's Edge, and if you're also on this page, you just type in spell, and it's right here for 400 gold. You're just gonna right click it, and then make sure you buy your ward too. It's free, so of course buy one. And if you'd like, you can buy 2 health potions. You'll have enough to do so. So we just loaded into the game. Before you step out of the fountain area, you need to make sure that you have your Spell Thief's Edge, your ward, and optionally our health potions. I would recommend just getting them. I mean, it's 100 gold. It's not the end of the world to spend it. It'll help you out early on. And so I'm not going to demonstrate a leash or anything like that, but again, I covered that in the last video. So when you're playing support, you're going to be supporting your your ADC, your attack damage carry. It's basically the person that does a lot of damage, but they're super squishy. It means they die super quick. It's kind of the trade-off for dealing a bunch of damage. But so you and the attack damage carry will come over to here, and you guys are going to help your jungler, who I went over the jungler in the last video. Um, you will help him kill the buff here. You won't kill it. It's not your job for you to kill it. You're supposed to help your jungler get the kill on it. So you kind of get it to half HP, and then you and your ADC, you guys go to lane. And so on Misfortune, you're going to take your E first. You can click or you can do Control E and it will level it up without you having to like move your mouse down to it. And as a support, you're not going to farm. Here, let me spawn a allied dummy so that I get the support bonus, I think. And so your attack, this is your attack damage carry. This is the guy you're supporting. So it's not your job to farm the creeps or anything. You're not supposed to attack them or anything like that unless your ADC asks you to. Typically they won't because it makes it harder for them to like calculate the damage of last hitting it, because you only get gold for killing the minions if you're the last hit. So like here, if I damage it, I get it super low. That one right there. If I get it super low, okay, it's not gonna. But basically that one just died. I didn't get gold because I didn't last hit it. I last hit it there, so I get gold. So your ally is gonna be doing that. So it's your job while they're trying to do that to try and keep them safe. So using your E here, you can use it. And then you can use your spells, and it's also good to auto attack too. So you do have that you have that E ability, which is your main ability right here that's going to be dealing most of your damage on this build. But you're also, your auto attacks, they deal a little bit of damage, and a little bit of damage is better than no damage. So I see a lot of people, they'll use their E like that, and those kind of stand here. What you could be doing is clicking on the person. I'm getting a little bit of damage, and I'm also getting gold, because how the support item works, which if you want like an in-depth explanation, you could look it up. It's not too complicated, and I also went over it in my last video, the kind of fundamentals of League. But sorry. How this works is you can read it right there. You can pause the video real quick and read that. But the tribute passive basically means whenever you're near an ally, so whenever you're near your ADC in bot lane as the support, anytime you damage an enemy, see plus 20 gold, plus 20 gold, plus 20 gold, you're gonna get gold for damaging an enemy. It's kind of the support's way of generating income since they aren't going to be the one farming minions. And you see if I have this item and I do farm minions, I get this debuff, so I get reduced gold from the minions. So typically a melee will give you 12 or 13. Oh, I just messed up. Okay, I messed up again. I'm used to having a D-blade when I CS these. And again, just use your E. Anytime they step up, and if your E is up, just use it. See, I got 4 gold from that. Usually you get like 13. See, 4 gold. So don't be farming minions as a support. Not only are you taking away resources from your ally, who's supposed to be the one that does it, but it's also going to be, it's going to give you a debuff too, so you're not even going to get the full gold value of the minions. And so she steps up here, I'm going to use my E. Don't chase after them to use your abilities either. If they're not on the minions, they're not farming, it means they're losing gold. That's good. That's good enough for us. And then I'm just going to kind of run it down because I'm not going to demonstrate too much more here. In the bottom lane, I wanted to farm a little bit. Only reason I'm farming now is because I wanted gold to demonstrate something without having it take super long. So I'm low. I have a little bit of gold. I'm going to go back to base. Your first item on Miss Fortune is going to be Liandry's Anguish. I know your starter item is different than your first item. So your starter item you buy at the beginning of every game is Spellthief's Edge. And maybe potions if you want in your ward. And then whenever you take your initial base, once you have Spell Thieves, it should recommend it. Honestly, it should know that I'm going the AP build. But it's going to be this right here. It looks like a little theater mask, I guess. This is Liandry's Anguish. It gives you a lot of ability power. So your E spell right here. If you notice the little purple symbol next to ability power, that like rocket looking thing, it's also... This is 130 total magic damage or whatever with the little AP symbol near. It means the AP will increase it. So the total, it'll be, I don't know, I'm not going to explain AP ratio super heavy. Basically, building ability power will increase the damage of your ability. Whereas here it has the physical damage sign, that little axe, and a little bit of ability power, but primarily the axe. So building attack damage items like Kraken Slayer, Collector will increase the damage of like your Q and your auto attacks. But that's a different playstyle. Today we're going for AP Miss Fortune. It's simple, it's easy. So I can't buy the whole item, so don't just leave base. I'm sitting on 1,000 gold here. I can't buy the full item. I can't buy the ladder items, and these also build into the item, and they deduct from the cost. So even though this is 900, if I buy it, you can see it deducted 900 from the 3,200. So it's a way so that way you're not sitting on 0 items the entire time, and you're still maximizing your gold. So in this case, if I'm having mana issues, which you might on AP Miss Fortune, depending on how often you're using your abilities and how well you're doing, you can buy the crystal and you can buy a book or something. and I have like 300 gold. I can't buy anything else for my item. That's fine. You can just sit on your 300 gold. Don't buy some random item. Like, don't be like, oh, I could buy a dagger. It's not going to play into your build. Just keep saving. Only buy items that are on your ladder tree. Um, this isn't a general rule for League. If you're more skilled at the game and you understand matchups, you may buy like a cloth armor. But I'm not. That's much further down the line. Let's keep it simply. Leandri's Anguish will be your first item. Simply buy the ladder items that build into these items, which build into the mythic item. And then I'm going to give myself a bunch of gold just to demonstrate. So let's say it's later on in the game. I'm higher level or something. I'm like level 11. And I got gold. You won't have 20k gold. I just give myself a fuck ton of gold. But you'll buy Leandri's Anguish. And then you'll probably be thinking, what next? Next up will be your boots. You're going to go Sorcerer's Shoes on Miss Fortune. It's going to make your spells deal more damage, and it's going to give you move speed. So you always build your boots after your first item. So typically it's going to go load into the game, buy your starter item. You're going to work towards your mythic item. You can only own one mythic item. They're super good items. So you're going to work towards this first. After completing your mythic, you're going to buy your boots. And then after boots, you build the rest of your items. So on Miss Fortune, what that would look like is it's going to recommend you probably attack damage items, which you don't want. You want ability power. So you can go to all items and click on the book. It's going to be the mage spellbook icon. And then legendary items are going to be the items you work towards. All these epic and basic items you see here are ladder items. So for instance, like if I want this legendary Banshee Veil, you can see that this Amp Tome builds into it. You can see that this Fiendish Codex is built out of the Amp Tome and builds into that. So it's all like a ladder. There's like a hierarchy system for the items, if you will. Don't be buying random items and figure out what they build into later. Like, be like, okay, I bought this random item. Let's see what it builds into. Don't do that. Make sure you're buying items specific in the ladder for the legendary, because not every legendary has the same build tree. As you can see, there's different items. I'm not going to explain them all. But your next items on AP Miss Fortune, if you want to slow them with your E, which I recommend, you go Rylai's Crystal Scepter. It's the blue staff. You'll go this next. Typically, I'll build the ability power components first. Like, I'll buy those ladder items, and then I'll buy, like, the health or something. And as you can see, at this point, after buying all three, it's only 400 compared to the 2,600 it normally is. So it does deduct from the total. So you're not losing money by doing this. There's no reason you shouldn't be buying ladder items if you can afford them. And if you can't, it's fine. Just sit on the gold until you can. Don't be buying random items. If I'm trying to build this item, don't buy a freaking stopwatch. And then, see, it doesn't deduct from the total because it doesn't build into it. So I would say the rest of your build on Miss Fortune should be, you have your Spell Thief's Edge, you have that, you have your boots. They're locked because I have a rune which gives me free boots after a certain time. But it's going to be a little bit. So basically, pretend I have boots there. I'll buy a Rylai's, and then buying Demonic Embrace will give you even more burning, and it will give you more ability power as well. So that's going to be really good. And then for your last item, I recommend going this green book if they have healing. If you don't know if they have healing, just ask someone you're playing with. I'm going to assume you're playing with you have a friend that's teaching you or something. And then, so buy the green book, and then you'll have your boots there, ideally. This should be your full build. As a support, you're not going to get this till very late in the game because supports do typically earn less money than anybody else. It's just kind of the nature of the role. Again, it's kind of more of a backseat type of role early on in the game. When you get to higher levels, it's definitely a more impactful role. But early on, it just allows you to kind of like understand the fundamentals, kind of see what's going on without having to do a whole lot. It'll make your learning experience much easier. And as you can see, we have all this ability power now. So if I step up to her, like if I flash and use my E, we're doing a lot more damage than we did earlier. And then you can use your ultimate, which you'll unlock at level 6 and level 11. You're going to max your E ability first, but you always want to put a point in your ultimate when available. So even if you're on the road to a max level E, it's the 5 points. At level 6, don't put a point in your E, put a point in your R. And your first 3 levels, you want to level up your E first, then your Q, then your W, and then every level after that, just level up your E. Oh shit, you're level 6, level up your ultimate, level up your E again, until you can't anymore. And then after that, I'd recommend going for, it's kind of up to you. This one just gives you move speed, so if you need to run away from people a lot, you could level this up, your W. I would recommend probably the W or your Q. It's up to you, depending on how the game is going. And then your ADC may ask you to help him shove. Helping shove is just like use your E on the wave. I probably deal too much damage, but ideally you'll deal a little less damage and you'll just kind of weaken the minions more. So again, kind of like she's up in my minion, she's trying to farm, I'll just use my E. That's kind of the whole play style. And you can see I still do good damage. For being a support, it's more damage than you'll typically have. And I'm trying to keep this relatively short. I know it's kind of long, I'm just trying to be thorough and in depth. But I would say those are the main points of playing AP Miss Fortune. Is the items which I talked about quite a bit. I just wanted to make it very clear. And leveling your E and kind of how to use your E. So like if that's an enemy there, you can kind of see the radius. So don't walk all the way up to them to use your E on them like that. You can use your E from back here when you're safer. You're obviously safer the further away you are. If you're up here, maybe walk up a little bit, use it. You don't have to stay up. You can literally just walk away. I know I said you can auto trade and everything, like add a couple auto attacks in. If it's safe, feel free, but don't run in and die because you're trying to get an auto attack off. Yeah. But that basically concludes it. Flash and your summoner spells are a super long cooldown, longer than any of your abilities. As you can see, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So use these wisely. Don't just, oh, I'm like in my base and I'm a little bit low, I'm gonna heal, you know. Use your heal summoner spell. I didn't bring it this game. But I hope that kind of clears up some things and maybe makes it clearer on kind of what you're supposed to do when you play AP Miss Fortune. If you have any questions, just let me know. And yeah, I hope this helped you guys out. Made it a little easier. And thank you guys for watching.